It's Friday, and we've some great stories to end your week here on Ag AM in Kansas. Here's what's coming up.
Today in our Horsing Around segment, hosted by Dr. Chris Blevins, an equine field services clinician at K-State's Veterinary Health Center, we learn about what you should be feeding your horse this winter. Next, the removal of Representative Tim Huelskamp from the Ag Committee is discussed, including what that may mean for the Farm Bill. And finally, learn what a farmer or rancher in Kansas should do if they haven't yet received a USDA census form in the mail. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Horsing Around, brought to you by Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, dressing Northeast Kansas their Western best for over 57 years.
Hello and welcome to Horsing Around. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins. I'm an equine field service clinician here at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. And today we're going to talk about hay and roughage and what you should be feeding your horse. You know, we've had some really good questions that we've had introduced to us from clients this fall, and it's even probably going to be into the winter, about hay and different hay sources that they could use, because we all know that hay is getting fairly expensive, and you know, trying to be creative, or at least trying to make sure that we're feeding the good quality hay, but also being able to pay for that hay is also very important. You know, the biggest thing about horses, and we always have to remember that their basis of a diet is going to be some kind of a forage. And so we can sure add other things to their diet, but they really need, as a basis of what they need to eat, is going to be hay. Also remember that horses themselves are going to eat about 2 to 3% of their body weight in hay a day. And so you start looking at hay bales, that's going to be maybe 30 to 40 pounds of hay a day. And so that could add up fairly rapidly, and especially when the hay gets fairly expensive. Some people get kind of creative, or at least they try to potentially cut corners when it comes to the basis of what they need to eat. And so the quality of the hay is very important, and the kind of hay is also something that we always need to keep in mind and try to figure out what and how much we should feed our horse during a time frame. Most of the time during the summer, especially those ranch type horses, or a lot of people that have horses out, they're just having them out on pasture. But we know once it starts getting a little bit colder, the pasture starts to go down, that we have to start supplementing them with some kind of a hay or roughage type source, whether it's a round bale or a square bale. Now with round bales, the only thing that we really are kind of concerned with that is the potential mold source, or the quality of the hay, and that could potentially cause diseases in a horse, whether it's due to coughing or some kind of other allergies, and sometimes or if you've ever heard of a thing called heaves, is another thing that could affect their respiratory tract. And so the quality of the hay is very important, and the round bales is one of those things that we really have to keep track of as far as mold, dust, and the aspects of what's in the center of the bale. So if you're going to feed round bales, always remember to check that bale out, especially the center of it. And if you ever see a lot of mold and dust coming from it when the horse is pulling hay out of the center of it, that you might be concerned, or even check more of the quality of those round bales prior to feeding the other subsequent ones. The other thing is going to be what types of hay. And I think that that's going to be a very good thing to kind of focus on, as far as there's alfalfa, brome, prairie grass hay in Kansas, and a lot of other native type of hays that we can feed. There's other hay sources too that we can kind of mention here later on. And hopefully by giving you a little bit more broad aspect of choices, that you'll be better in your decisions. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk again about the different types of hay, and maybe some other choices that you'd have and what to watch for. Stay tuned, and welcome back to Horsing Around when we return from the break.
Don't Don't miss the 17th annual No Till on the Plains Winter Conference, January 29th and 30th at the Bicentennial Center in Salina. Come in early to attend classroom presentations, get valuable updates at the Industry Morning Marketplace, and stop by several education booths. With all this under one roof, you will not be disappointed. We are stewards of the earth, building wealth by building soil health. Visit our new and improved website at notill.org to get registered.
If our local animal agriculture industry disappeared, what else would disappear? The buses that get us to school? The playgrounds and ballparks we go to after school? The books and computers that help us learn and grow? Animal agriculture provides millions of dollars in tax revenue that pay for our school improvements, that pave the foundation that will build our future. A message from U.S. soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Purple Wave is a proud supporter of the Kansas FFA through the Bid for Blue program. Purple Wave donates a portion of the proceeds earned on certain ag assets to the Kansas FFA. Winning bidders can designate a Kansas chapter to receive the donation. To date, Purple Wave is proud to have donated over $10,000. Visit purplewave.com to learn more and to place bids on Bid for Blue assets. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Horsing Around, brought to you by Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, dressing Northeast Kansas their Western best for over 57 years.
Hello and welcome back to Horsing Around. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins here at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center, and just like the first segment, we're going to continue to talk about hay and hay quality and the different types of hay. In the first segment, we definitely mentioned the aspect of quality, whether dust, molds, and those kind of things that we could see in the hay. Not just in round bales, but you can also have that in your square bales too. So checking those things is very important to make sure you have a good quality hay to feed your animals or your horses. The other thing is different types of hay, and what is kind of the mainstay or most owners are going to use is the brome hay. And that's a cool season grass. Sometimes it's a brome or fescue mix, or maybe it's just a fescue type hay. Again, those are cool season grasses. They have usually a lot more sugars in it, a lot more calories than maybe like a native type of hay. So a prairie grass hay or a native hay is a warm season type of a grass, and that hay usually is a good source of forage, but it just doesn't have as much calories as that of a cool season grass like brome and fescue. The other thing that we could potentially use also would be the alfalfa hay. And the biggest thing to always remember about alfalfa hay is it's a good quality hay. It's just something that you need to keep in mind that there is a possibility of a toxin. It's called blister beetles, and the only thing you need to really ask from your supplier of your alfalfa if it's blister beetle free. Because if it is not, a horse can ingest a very minute amount of it and it could become colicky, or even there is an aspect, if they ingest enough, that they could die from eating the blister beetles. So making sure you're conscious about the alfalfa hay, the source of it, and if there's any blister beetles in it is very important when you're feeding that to a horse with alfalfa. And it's not to say that we should not feed alfalfa to our horses, it's just to make sure that we don't have the blister beetles within the hay. Kind of along those same signs as far as the alfalfa is alfalfa cubes. Probably have been to a lot of the feed stores and have seen those. They're little cubed or compacted, compressed type of alfalfa product that are out there. The only thing we need to be careful with of those cubes is if the horse would bolt at their feed or try to eat too much at one time, they could choke And so we don't want to make sure those cubes get stuck in their esophagus or their throat latch and choke on the cubes. So one way that you could try to prevent that would be to wet down the hay prior to feeding it to them to try to prevent the choking aspect. There's also other products you've probably seen at your feed stores, vacuum packaged hay sources, even bagged hay. Again, looking at the quality of those is very important. One thing is how green it is. The greener and the fresher it smells, the higher the quality is just by visualization and the smell of it. If it starts to get a more brown tinge to it, not really have any type of a smell, or maybe it smells a little bit bad or dusty, those things would be of a poorer quality. Again, you can also check your hay through your extension agent or ask them where you could go with your hay if you want to know how many calories are within it and what the quality is. If you have any other questions about hay or anything else, you can sure talk to your veterinarian, your extension agent, or here at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins with Horsing Around. We'll see you around.
Here in Dallas, we're proud that our vehicles use an advanced biofuel called biodiesel. It's made from renewable resources like soybean oil, canola oil, even recycled cooking oil. This year, biodiesel will displace almost 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. Our air is cleaner, our economy is stronger, and America's more energy independent. It's working here, it can work in your community. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
We've been using the Multi-Min on our donor cows, and after we started using it on them, we've seen a definite increase in grade number 1 embryos. I like the results that I get using Multi-Min with the AI conception rate.
Their minerals not up to snuff, you're going to have problems, and I definitely think Multi-Min is good for, general healthiness of the cattle.
We think Multi-Min more than pays for itself.
Saddle up and head on down to Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, the finest complete Western store in Northeast Kansas. Look your Western best. Select from 3,000 pairs of boots, Western home decor, and accessories. Near the corner of Highway 24 and Kansas Avenue. Open till 6 during the week, 9 to 5 on Saturday, and Sunday noon till 4. Or you can always shop online. Western people serving your Western lifestyle. Roy Fry Western Lifestyles.
Agribusiness brought to you by SureCrop. Quality liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Justin, thanks for joining us this morning. It's good to see you.
Always good to see you, Brian.
Hey, recently the state of Kansas got, I don't want to say bad news, well it probably is bad news. Senator Huelskamp, or Congressman Huelskamp, was removed from the Agriculture Committee. What kind of impact does that make for the state?
Well, you're right. It certainly is a disappointing news. I haven't quite seen all the details on it yet, but have seen the headlines about that. And it's as far as thinking about where Kansas is, and especially Congressman Huelskamp's district, the 1st district, the amount of agriculture and the impact that agriculture has to the economy in Western Kansas, in that big 1st district. It's disappointing to think that representation won't be on the House Ag Committee, especially when you look back at the long history of that first, going all the way back, to Bob Dole being represented on that House Ag Committee, and of course then on up through the change with Senator Pat Roberts and Senator Jerry Moran, and the importance it is to farmers and ranchers out in that 1st district to have that voice on the House Ag Committee. It's really disappointing to think that we're not going to have that, considering we've had that for so long.
Well, not only the farmers out there, but to the communities out there as well. And I think a lot of people forget the economic impact farming has on the state's economy. No support from Washington makes it a little tougher on those farmers, which in turn makes it tougher on those small rural communities as well.
Absolutely, Brian. You think about the economic downturn that our nation has been in. And if there's been any bright spot or any glimmer of hope, it's been our ag sector in that economy. And it's really the lifeblood of a lot of those rural communities out in that big first district. And so not having that representation, that voice on that House Ag Committee is certainly disappointing. And I know there's a lot of ag groups in Kansans that are going to express that disappointment, and hopefully they can get things figured out. But somehow we've got to make sure we've got that voice and that representation.
What does that committee exactly do, Justin? A lot of people may be watching the show this morning and go, well, big deal. But it really is a big deal. What does that committee really do?
Well, it does quite a bit. Obviously, the one that's probably most paramount right now is the Farm Bill discussions, where the Senate Ag Committee has passed a farm bill, a Senate version of the Farm Bill. It comes out of that committee, goes to the full Senate. Full Senate has passed that. So now the House Ag Committee needs to pass a Farm Bill that would go to the full House. And once it gets passes the full House, then the House and the Senate versions get to sit down in a conference committee, and that's where the Farm Bill gets hashed out. And so having that voice at the early stages of farm policy through that House Ag Committee is extremely important and vital in the early part of that process.
And the last few minutes, or the last minute we have here together, I think a lot of people, especially out in western Kansas, those small rural communities, when you hear ag bill, it's really more than ag bill. I mean, there's food subsidies, everything, school lunch programs, all of that are wrapped into what is called a farm bill. So it's more than farming.
Absolutely. And when you think about the importance of farm policy from just, when you think of the importance of crop insurance, especially in the year that we're having now, coming off of an extreme droughty period for our fall crops and the conditions that our wheat crop is under right now, having that farm policy and having Kansas's, because if you don't have that Kansas representation, because growing regions are different across the United States and concerns and issues are different across the United States. So if you have a smaller ag production area, whether it's on the East Coast or West Coast, that has a more direct voice than the main producing areas in Kansas, like the first district, on that farm policy, it can be really detrimental to the long-term effects for the benefits of Kansas farmers and ranchers and ag communities.
Don't miss the 17th annual No-Till on the Plains Winter Conference, January 29th and 30th at the Bicentennial Center in Salina. Come in early to attend classroom presentations, get valuable updates at the Industry Morning Marketplace, and stop by several education booths. With all this under one roof, you will not be disappointed. We are stewards of the earth, building wealth by building soil health. Visit our new and improved website at notill.org to get registered.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Agribusiness brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Jason, thanks for joining us.
Welcome, Brian.
Ag census. It's been out for a while. We're coming kind of close to the end, but we need to make that final push to make sure everybody gets that information in.
We really do, Brian. We're getting close to the due date of when that census needs to be mailed in and received in our office. February 4th, 2013 is the due date, so I'm encouraging all farmers and ranchers out there to make for sure they get that in. The Census of Agriculture it's their voice, their future, their responsibility. So if we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, we'd sure like to get those questionnaires in the mail.
And we want to remind everybody, confidential information. and it helps the state out.
Absolutely. It's very confidential. It's required by law that they fill it out, but it's also protected by law that no individual data will be released to anyone else. So that is confidential. And also it's great for the state of Kansas. We need to have every farmer and rancher counted, and the data that they have, there's information that from the census that we get nowhere else. Things like the number of female farmers in the state of Kansas. I had a buffalo farmer that stopped by the Kansas Livestock Association a couple months ago. We don't count buffalo very often. The Census of Agriculture is the place where we collect that type of information. So it is critical for the state.
Again, if they don't turn it in, they're probably going to get a phone call, maybe a little stop by, hey, please give us this information.
Correct. We'll start making phone calls for those that haven't responded by mail. So it just costs more taxpayers' money if we have to do that. So it's really encouraged to get it sent in. Like I said, February 4th is that due date, and that's coming up quick. And if we don't contact the farmers by telephone, we do have some folks out in the state that can come to your door if need be.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Purple Wave is a proud supporter of the Kansas FFA through the Bid for Blue program. Purple Wave donates a portion of the proceeds earned on certain ag assets to the Kansas FFA. Winning bidders can designate a Kansas chapter to receive the donation. To date, Purple Wave is proud to have donated over $10,000. Visit purplewave.com to learn more and to place bids on Bid for Blue assets. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
Rural Lifestyle, brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick. In Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
I think most cattlemen know about wild cattle they've encountered or some wild and crazy critter that they've met along the way. All of us old stockmen have stories to tell, but with livestock, you never know. This poem is entitled Wild Cattle. These cattle are wild, the old rancher said. It's a saying that fills us cowboys with dread. We know we're in for one tough day when the boss describes the cattle that way. He said, this load of calves came from Tennessee. They'd hardly seen a human before they came to me. When these calves got here, they acted riled. I turned them out in the pasture, and they ran wild. So I'm sorry, he said with some chagrin, but it's time to gather these wild cattle in. The boys saddled up, and we dispersed across the pasture, fearing the worst. I rode out to the west on a mere hunch, and found those calves grazing all in a bunch. But when they spotted a horse and a man, those wild cattle all turned tail and ran. They ran straight toward the loading pens, and then ran to the trailer and ran right in. The boss slammed shut the trailer gate, and we sat there amazed at this twist of fate. Those cattle were wild, and they'd certainly run, but they ran right in the trailer. Suddenly, we were done. We looked at each other in disbelief at the ease with which we loaded that beef. In spite of all our worries and fears, that was the easiest loading we'd done in years. So I turned around and reined up my hoss as we trained our puzzled eyes on the boss. Well, the boss said with a wondering expression, for once those cattle were wild in the right direction. Happy trails.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
We hope you've enjoyed today's program. We're here every morning, Monday through Friday. If you missed part of today's broadcast, you can see it on agaminkansas.com. Eric Atkinson here from K-State Research and Extension.